All right, so hi everyone, I'm Jessica Fraser, and as mentioned, if you've got any questions or concerns as we move through the session, you can just type them in the chat box there, and then we'll address them as we move along. So this session is titled Engaging Young Learners in a Digital Classroom. And the first thing I wanted to point out is that these are ideas that I explored during the school closure, but as we're going to be going back into the classroom in September, and who knows what the fall will look like, these are ideas that in one way or another you could hopefully take into your teaching, no matter what the circumstances. So if we're in school, you can still have a Google Classroom set up and use some of these ideas, or if we're working with home learning or a blended model of learning, and hopefully you'll be able to find some of these ideas useful. So an overview of the session, I'm going to go over 3 ways that have worked for me to engage learners in the online classroom. So the first is by creating engaging lessons, and I can do that using movie and screen recordings. The second is to find websites that offer opportunities for collaboration. So finding ways to keep everybody connected despite being separated by distance. And the third is a conversation about formative assessment in a digital classroom. So I'd just like to reiterate that these are ideas. These are things that have come from my own experience and what seemed to be most engaging for the learners in my classroom. Not necessarily things I've done a whole lot of research on. It's just things that have worked for me, and hopefully you'll find some ideas that you like and you can make them your own and go from there. So again, don't hesitate to get involved in the conversation as we move through the session. So the first topic is movie and screen recordings. So these I found really useful in the online classroom. And what I mean when I say movie and screen recordings, so a movie recording would just be a recording of yourself or a video of something. A screen recording would be a recording of what's happening on your computer screen or a part of your computer screen. And then you could always do a combined recording. So to have a recording of your screen, so your students can see what you're working on the screen, but you might have your image kind of floating on the screen as well. So using these in the online classroom, some parents described benefits such as students have the ability to rewatch the videos as needed or to watch them at their own pace. So for example, if they're working on a lesson and need a little extra time to process something or need to rewatch a certain piece of the video, they have that option. A lot of students really liked just having an opportunity to see their teacher when schools were closed, to have that video. Another benefit was for those students who required some reading support. So if I had a document, maybe I was sharing a PDF or a Google Doc with a group of students, if I had a video of myself reading the document, then that made it accessible for those learners who required that support. And besides all that, a lot of students find this is just something different. It's fun and engaging in that way. So these recordings can be used for anything you can imagine, really, but I use them a lot for morning messages, for mini lessons, and for modeling. So I thought I would try to demonstrate how to do this using a MacBook. That's the computer that I'm working with, and QuickTime is the software I'm working with. But I don't expect everyone to have the same software. I don't necessarily expect you to follow along. I'm not even entirely sure it's going to work because of how I'm sharing my screen right now. But you can do this with any software, with any computer. So if it's an idea that you like and something that you'd like to try, then I can point you in the direction of where you could find the information to do that on your operating system. And you can always connect with me through email or whatever after the session, and I can help walk you through it. So I will try this now. So, Michelle, can I just ask you if on the screen you can see just my Chrome browser, or if you can see the entire screen, including all the doc at the bottom?
What I can see right now is your Google Slides screen with your tabs up at the top.
Okay, so I don't think then I'm sharing it in such a way that you can view the whole screen. Which probably means I will just kind of walk through the steps and talk about what you can do, and then we'll move on from there.
Okay.
Okay, so when you're recording a video of yourself or of the screen, these are just some things that you can do. So as I mentioned, it can be recording of just yourself, of the screen, or a combination. There's ways to edit your videos, so you can make them shorter or longer, take off pieces at the beginning or the end or throughout. And it's different on each operating system how you would do all these things anyhow, so it's probably just as well that I don't go through it all in the MacBook anyway. So I will show you, though, some examples. This should work. So now can you see?
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Perfect. Okay.
The video's there, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
There is a question that just came up. Is there a reason you use QuickTime as opposed to iMovie?
It was just what I became familiar with. So in my own research, I wanted to figure out how to do how to make these screen recordings. And so I found some really good resources on how to use it with QuickTime, and I already had that software on my computer. So that's the reason I went with that. But there's lots of ways to do it. This is like just one avenue.
Thank you.
Oh, no problem. This is an example of a poetry lesson that I did. So we won't watch it all, but just to give you a sense of what this would look like for the students. So I would post this in their Google Classroom, and it would be an assignment to watch the video, and then throughout the video, they would find out what their activities for the week would be. So I start with an introduction, and then to show you what it looks like for a screen recording. This was a PowerPoint presentation that, had we been in the classroom, I probably would have shared with them on a projector, but using the recordings, we did it this way. Another thing that was nice about this is that you can record a video. So this is just a piece of a YouTube video. And what I liked about recording the screen for YouTube videos versus just sharing a YouTube link was that a lot of times those YouTube videos can have a lot of negativity in the comment section, and especially for younger elementary students, it might be language you don't necessarily want them exposed to. So this was a way to share the video without sharing any of the comments. You can also do read aloud. So as long as you've got permission from publishers, that's something else you can do with these videos. And I'll show one more example before we jump back in. So this was an example of a video where I recorded the screen and then had the image of myself up in the corner. So with this, you can have any document open, or you could even use virtual math manipulatives, whatever lesson you're working on. And you can go through and read the document, type things in, show them exactly how they would fill it in on their end, so it's all really clear. So it's just creates kind of a similar experience that they would get in the classroom, but it's all delivered online. So on these 3 links here, there's some information on how to create screen and movie recordings depending on your software. So these were just some of the first ones that I came across. So using a Mac or using QuickTime on a Mac, you'll find that information on the first one. Second one tells you all the steps to do it on a Chromebook. And if you're working with a Chromebook, you, I think, have to download an extension first, but it's still possible. Or how to do that on a PC. But basically, whatever system you're working with, if you just type into Google, how do I create a screen recording on, and then whatever operating system you're using, you're likely to find some really good, clear information on that, or maybe some YouTube videos that could really walk you through it. So again, I know I'm not giving you every step on how to set it up yourself, but if it's something you're interested in, just letting you know that the steps are there. All right, so the second topic, some sites to maintain a sense of community. So what I found was that maintaining that collaboration between myself and my students, and also providing an opportunity for students to collaborate with each other, was a way to maintain those social bonds and maintain that sense of community. It was a little bit challenging at first with younger students, because you might be limited in the ways they can interact online. But I enjoyed finding sites that allowed them to complete some group work, even when they weren't together. So you probably, or may not have heard of Book Creator and WordArt. So these were two websites that I used that allowed for some collaboration. And if you do have other ideas, I'd love to hear them, because I'm sure that there are people on here who have not heard of the ones you may have used. So feel free to share. So with Book Creator, it's a really great site that allows you to create, you have kind of an account as a class, and you can all use the same login information. You can all go in and work on the same book. So for our class, we created a collaborative book. So I had each student create one piece of writing. If they wanted to, they could share a picture or a drawing, and they could create their own page. So at the end, we had this 23-page book that you could share, so that students are hearing about what their friends are up to and kind of still feeling connected to each other in that way. So this is the Book Creator site here. And I'll just show you as an example. The first page was a page that I did with a picture of my dog and just a little sentence. I won't go through all of the students' work as well, just for privacy reasons, but just to give you an idea. So that was something that we did. And then I actually did a recording of myself reading the book and shared that with the students, so that for those who might have struggled to get through it reading it on their own, they had that option. So the next site was WordArt. And so with WordArt, what you do is you can create these images, like the sun you see down in the bottom right corner, where it's comprised of a whole bunch of different words. And some ways that I used this collaboratively was, first, when we were talking about adjectives, I would have each student come up with one or more adjective to describe something. So this is an example of summer. And so we would input the words into WordArt, and then it generates this nice image. And then you can share that with the students, and each of them can look at it and see their word in there. So it kind of maintains that sense of community in that way. Another nice way that we used it was as an end of the year gift for students. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the Paths program. So I had asked each student to share a list of compliments with one word for each of their classmates. And then we put the words, it was a little more time consuming because we made one for each student. But then they have this little image that has all these beautiful words about them that their friends have chosen. So I'll show you what this looks like. So if you were to go to wordart.com, you can sign in, or you can just click on create to go in and create a word cloud without having to create an account. And over here on the left side of the screen is where you input the words. So I will imagine that I was going to ask students to share words about their feelings about going back to school in September, for example. So if they said they were worried or happy or excited, all those different feelings, and you would have a list of 20 or 25, however many students you're working with. And then underneath that, where you see shapes, there's all kinds of different shapes that you can choose. So we'll just choose a cloud, and you can change the font and the layout and the style all to your liking. So I'll keep it as it is for now. And then when you're ready, you click visualize. So we've only got a few words going into this cloud, but you can imagine what it would look like with 20 or 25 different words. And then you share it with the students, and each can look at it and say, oh, I see my word in there, and feel that collaborative effort. They work together to create this product. And then from there, you can save them as well. So if that's something that you're interested in doing and you have any trouble figuring it out, you can reach out to me. All right, so moving into our third topic here, which is formative assessment. So something that everybody thinks about a lot for sure in the classroom. As we shifted to a completely digital model, a completely online classroom, it took me a little while to think about how I was integrating formative assessment into my teaching. So ultimately, I wanted to make sure that I was still setting clear learning goals, so students knew what they were learning. I wanted to make sure that we maintained that dialogue so that I was providing feedback to them that was effective. So letting them know how they were doing in relation to those goals so that we could work together and create a plan for how they were going to minimize that gap between their current and desired level of understanding. So one way to do that is as students submit Google documents in the Google Classroom is to just put comments in. And another way is to create digital stickers, which I know sometimes stickers are seen as just praise and not necessarily an opportunity to provide formative assessment. But when you can customize them, you can make them communicate that relevant feedback. So it's just something happy and engaging for students to look at that still provides that important information. So to do that, and I've got a link here that describes all the steps, and I found that on a blog, describes all the steps in creating those digital stickers, but I'll go through it quickly here too. So the first step is to create your sticker, and you do that in Google Drawings. So if you open up Google Drawings, you've just got your blank page to start, but then you can create a shape. So the shape of your sticker. So whatever shape you want to work with, there's lots there. So I'll just choose this cloud again. And you can make them whatever color you like. You can also put images right in here. So if you have a picture that you wanted to work into a sticker, you can do that too. But we'll just get creative here and use some artistic skills so then I can add text to it. So I'll imagine that I had communicated a clear learning goal to my students, which was that they were being asked to use a period or some punctuation at the end of every sentence in their writing. So I know that that's what they're working on, and they know that's what they're working on. So I can make the sticker say something like, you used punctuation at the end of every sentence. Just as an example. And then you can play with it a little bit and change the font if you like. Change the size. So this is just something you could play with a little bit. Not the most attractive looking sticker for sure, but anyway, this is just as an example. So after you've created what you want the sticker to look like, the next step is to download it as a JPEG image. So I see it downloaded here. And then you can save it to your desktop or wherever you'd like to save it. And just double check that it's saving as JPEG because that's what you'll need. So I save it there. And the next step is to go into Google Keep. So in Google Keep, this is what it'll look like. You can take a note and it gives you the option to create a new list, create a new note with a drawing, or to use an image. So you click on image and then you just choose your file. So then you've got your sticker saved here in Google Keep. And then if you can imagine a student submitted a Google Doc to you, that was an assignment they were working on. And pretend this is their assignment that they submitted to you. Then over here on the right-hand side, you'll see these images, and one of them is Google Keep. And anything you save in Google Keep will pop up right here. So all you do is just slide it onto your page, and you can make it an appropriate size. And then they've got some formative feedback. And you might also want to use comments as well and say something specific as well. So just a couple of ways you can offer that formative feedback. All right.
I just said that that was a very cute idea.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. All right. So just again, the feedback should always be aligned with the learning goals, no matter what format we're using, model of teaching. So I'm wrapping things up way faster than I thought I would, but this is how it goes. My main takeaway, I hope, today is just that if you have an idea of something that you want to do, to look it up, because there's so many resources out there. Everything that I learned that I did in the Google Classroom since March was just like, okay, I had this idea and I looked it up and somebody had done it before and the directions were all there. So great videos on YouTube. There's lots of forums out there where people have discussions about this stuff. There's blogs and vlogs. They're all really great resources. So try it out and you'd be surprised how much you can find. And if there was an idea, like I said, that you thought was cool and something that you'd like to try from today, then please don't hesitate to send me an email, connect with me, and I'd be happy to walk you through it or help you figure it out in whatever way possible. Does anyone have any final questions or any comments? Well, thank you so much, everyone, for being here. And like I said, I would really and truly be happy to offer any support if there's something that you'd like to try and you want someone to kind of walk through it with you. Not saying I'd have all the answers, but I'd certainly be willing to help you figure it out. So don't hesitate to reach out through email.